Welcome to Ask Ms. ERP. The topic of this video is how do ERP projects succeed? Hello everyone, Ms. ERP here. At least for now, this will be the last of the videos on large application projects. I am sure that you have all heard the horror stories about scary ERP projects. This is backed by a well-known analyst firm who has a statistic that 75% of ERP projects fail. There are a number of common reasons for this situation, and I am hoping to help you buck the trend and be successful with your enterprise application, upgrade, or implementation. It is really a matter of opinion what constitutes a success or a failure. Likely the most common story that you have heard is about ERP projects going over budget or missing implementation dates. I don't consider these issues a true failure, unless it was way off base. Also common is not making the promised return on investment, which comes back to how well your business case was defined. More serious is slowing your organization to a crawl, or worst of all, would be impacting company revenue by stopping production, not being able to deliver orders to your customers, not being able to pay your bills or report financial results. So you need to define what success means to your company. Probably the most important factor of success is to ensure that you have really good top management support for your enterprise application implementation or upgrade. These folks need to be active champions for your project and not delegate too much to lower levels, as that will disengage them. If the big brass is truly committed, then that will improve your odds of all other stakeholders, from business process owners to end users, are also committed to the success of your project. Another way to ensure success is to select the right product for your project. If you have not taken the time to understand your requirements, you may end up with a misalignment of what your business needs to what the product can deliver. Please see videos number 4 and number 13 for tips specifically on this topic. Another reason to end up with the wrong product is that you have an executive that wants to implement the same ERP or other enterprise system that they had at their last job, without any consideration of the current company requirements. What often results from this is that the application does not fit the organizational needs. You really need to set a realistic expectation of return on investment. Software providers are notorious for overstating the business benefits when the total costs of the project have been understated. There are two sides to this problem. First, the return piece. Do you actually know what your end state goal is, so that you have something to measure against when the project is complete? Another misconception about the benefits is that the application will solve all business process challenges that you have with the old system. This may be true in part, but you still need to standardize and understand your own processes regardless. I recommend that you do any required process re-engineering before your implementation, not as part of it. It is sometimes seen as easier to buy software to fix business issues rather than perform the more difficult task of self-identifying weaknesses and opportunities for improvement, irrelevant of the technology. Another large variable that impacts what benefit you will receive from an enterprise application, upgrade, or implementation is the scope. If not clearly defined at the beginning of the project and all subsequent scope changes managed properly, you may end up with trying to measure current inflated project costs against an original inaccurate or out-of-date benefits expectation. How to avoid this is to do the appropriate amount of planning. Companies who treat an enterprise application selection and implementation like buying a toaster are doomed to failure. These large system projects are always bigger than you think. Often left out of the total costs or underestimated are the costs of planning itself, some resource contingency, testing, data conversions, integrations, documentation, and any OCM activities such as training and communication. If this happens, a company doesn't stand a chance of achieving the ROI it was hoping for. Once the project is underway, you do need to stay on top of it with really strong project management. If possible, I highly recommend that you get a PM with prior, hopefully successful, experience with your specific application. Do make sure that risks and issues are being tracked, managed, and communicated on a regular, timely basis. A good ERP PM will know how to do this. It is also quite typical that resource needs for these complicated projects are underestimated, so make sure you have some contingency plans. You could find that some of your team is not performing as expected. Try and address this early and get the right skills in place. Remember, you do want your best and brightest on this project, and you may need to backfill. See video number 14 for more information. Watch out for people with 150% workloads. They are likely key resources, and you don't want them to burn out. Running late against the original project timeline could lead to cost cutting by removing some critical tasks or trying to unrealistically compress the schedule. If you have the option to phase your implementation, see video number 18, some companies take a very risky route and try and go live at multiple plant sites simultaneously. This might make sense once you have a couple of successful site go-lives under your belt, but be careful to manage the risk. Also watch out for your project's dependencies on other projects or events, likely with your integrated systems. For example, you may have to wait for an integrated system to take a patch before you can start testing that integration. Or there may be important events like a plant turnaround or a financial year-end that you will need to account for. Another common mistake is to assume that your data is awesome. In my experience, there are always surprises with data quality, so you have to allot enough time for the necessary cleanup. This all has to be factored into your project timeline. I have talked about technology and process, so the final component of a successful project is the people. Always the hardest to control and manage, and in my opinion, the biggest influence is how much change resistance there is in your organization. If you already have a system, it will depend how much pain that system is causing, how excited your users will be about the new system. If pencil and paper or spreadsheets are still being used, you will need to add some basic technology adoption training into your plan. Expect a productivity drop just after go live while everyone adjusts to the new system. Getting the entire organization to buy in is critical and can be accomplished by building a case for change, having really visible executive commitment, back to point 1, getting those responsible for working the new application involved right from the start, and then communicate, communicate, communicate. A company's culture is impacted by changes in business processes, and short-changing communications will definitely impact your project success. Start with announcing the reason for the change, and then continue to advise the organization of the progress and the importance of the project to the company. Good communications also allow different parts of the company to assess how they will be impacted by upcoming changes in processes or policies. Also make sure you celebrate with the company the project milestones and wins as you progress. Yeah! Yeah! As you continue with your project, you will need to provide education and training in the right format or manner required. People all learn in different ways, and you will need to offer tools to meet all needs, and you will need to be prepared to do this many times. Think for the future, as this is an ongoing need as part of new staff onboarding or to train people on new or changed role tasks. The more end users you can get involved in the project from the very start will increase buy-in and ownership of the new system and processes. and it will make more champions for your project to be successful. The more people who believe in your success, the more likely it is to happen. My opinion is that ROI should be a secondary concern because while it is easy to measure project costs, returns are a little more tricky. There are many intangible, hard-to-measure benefits from a successful enterprise application project, such as process efficiencies. Particularly as ERPs are the backbone of any company, the upgrade or implementation should be treated as a necessary foundation to either maintain or gain a strategic competitive advantage. I hope the points that I have made in this video will help your enterprise application project be successful. This concludes the How Do ERP Projects Succeed topic. I have a number of ideas for topics for Ask Ms. ERP, but I'm also hoping that you will post questions that perhaps I can help answer. There is a link on askmserp.com to ask me questions or suggest topics for future videos. Or you can just add comments on any YouTube video. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you would like to receive notifications of new Ask Ms. ERP videos, please update your YouTube settings as shown. Thanks, and see you on the next video.